I have no love for Mike Pence. Mainly because he stood by for 4 straight years and allowed a madman that he stood next to for those 4 years run roughshod on our country. But I will give him just a small bit of credit. He did his job on January 6, 2021, knowing full well that his own supporters, the supporters of Donald Trump, I should say, are willing to put a bullet in him. I'll give him just a little bit of credit for that, especially considering the fact that they were screaming, "Hang Mike Pence," on January 6, 2021. I'll give him just a little bit of credit for that. Just a little bit. Not a whole lot, because he's still a scumbag. But not too recently in Iowa, where he was trying to get votes for his fledgling campaign, Pence decided to give a small constitutional lecture about voting procedures under the U.S. Constitution, the same United States Constitution that the Republican Party and the Maga want us all to see as Holy Writ. Now, during that rally, Pence was taken to task by an Iowa voter that kept screaming that Donald Trump won the election, blah, 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 yak, yak, yak. But most importantly, that Mike Pence could have, in her words, taken the votes back to the states and letting the states decide, which was obviously a precursor to the plot of Donald Trump's trying to steal the election. Anyway, this is the question, and this is the answer from Pence, courtesy of NBC News Now.
If it wasn't for your vote, we would not have Joe Biden in the White House.
Right.
Joe Biden shouldn't be there. And all those wonderful things that you and Trump were doing together would be continuing, and this country would be on the right path. Do you ever second guess yourself? That was a constitutional right that you had to send those votes back to the states. It was not like you were going to personally elect him. We all know by the number of votes that were there who won that election.
Well,
You changed history for this country.
Yeah, let me speak to the issue, because I think it's an issue that continues to be misunderstood. I know by God's grace I did exactly what the Constitution of the United States required of me that day. I kept my oath. Let me be very respectful of the question and tell you, look, states conduct our elections. You never want to let Washington, D.C. run elections. You certainly would never want one person in Washington, D.C. to decide who the President of the United States is.
You weren't deciding. You were just sending it back to the states.
Ma'am, let me explain it to you. States conduct elections. Iowa, where I live in Indiana. And after there were questions in a half a dozen or so states, we had reviews of the results, 60 different lawsuits that went to the courts. Where there are questions, there's 2 ways that they're reviewed. Number one is you take those issues to the legal process in the state for recount. Okay? Secondly, you take them to the courts, which we did very aggressively. Now, there were voting irregularities that took place. You had a half a dozen states that changed the rules in the name of COVID, but the courts upheld those changes in virtually every instance, and in every instance where they would have had any impact whatsoever. At the end of the day, when Iowa certified your results and sent them to Washington, D.C., when Indiana certified our results, the Constitution of the United States, in Article 2, says the job of the Vice President is to serve as the presiding officer of a joint session where you open and count the votes. Don't take my word for it. Go read the Constitution. Not really. I say this with great affection and respect. The Constitution is very clear. My job was to oversee a session of Congress where objections could be heard. And I made sure that objections would be recognized. So we would hear whatever evidence or whatever debate there was. But the Constitution says you open and count the votes, no more, no less. The Constitution affords no authority for the Vice President or anyone else to reject votes or return votes to the states. Never been done before, should never be done in the future. I'm sorry, ma'am, but that's actually what the Constitution says. No Vice President in American history ever asserted the authority that you have been convinced that I had. And I want to tell you, with all due respect, I said what I announced, President Trump was wrong about my authority that day, and he's still wrong. I believe it will.
As I said, I have to give Mike Pence a little bit of credit, but I'm not going to give him too much credit, but I'll get to that second. What I really have a complaint about is Trumpers still thinking to this day, years later, that Donald Trump still won the election. He didn't win the election. In fact, there's mounting evidence that shows that Donald Trump tried to steal the election. The electors, the fake electors from Georgia, that's going to probably put him in prison. If not him, then Rudy Giuliani, but it's a story for another time. I mean, these people want the MAGA, I should say, the Republican MAGA. These people want so badly for us to see the United States Constitution as we would look at the Ten Commandments or the Holy Bible. But they don't even know it's inside the Ten Commandments or the Holy Bible. In their case, the United States Constitution. They are completely ignorant of that. Had Mike Pence overturned the election results, he would have ended democracy in a whim. American democracy, the American Republic, would be destroyed. All on account of one man's greed, his stupidity, his arrogance. What is bothering me is the straight up presumption of the Republican Party, of Republicans, of the MAGA. Like this woman keeps screaming that you could have ended this, you could have changed things, and Donald Trump would have been president. Mike Pence did not have the constitutional authority to change the results of an election. If that were the case, then Joe Biden, then as vice president to Barack Obama, could have done the same exact thing and made Hillary Clinton the president. I mean, hell, that's what you're arguing for, isn't it? That the vice president can change the outcome of an election? If that were the case, Joe Biden would have said, oh, he's got more votes. He's got the more votes. I don't care. Hillary Clinton, you're the president. That is exactly what you are arguing for. And if that would have happened, you MAGAs would rip this country apart. Mike Pence did not have the constitutional authority. My God, am I really going to have to do the same thing Mike Pence just did here in this video clip? Do I have to really lecture you about the Constitution? Apparently I have to. Because it's become all too obvious that every time you want to scream how you want people to respect the flag, how much you hate people who kneel down during the flag, how much you want us to respect the Constitution, to learn all about the Constitution, when you morons, you MAGA morons, don't even know what's in the Constitution. Who want Mike Pence to circumvent the Constitution for Donald Trump. That to me shows that not only are you idiots, you're hypocrites. And when you didn't get your way on January 6th, you decided to try to start an insurrection. No, you didn't try to start it. You did start an insurrection. And when Mike Pence didn't do what you wanted him to do, you kept chanting, hang him. You built a gallows outside the United States Capitol, a hangman's noose. That's what you did. You didn't want Constitution to rule over the country. You want one man rule. And that one man for you is Donald Trump. And it was not going to happen. So I applaud Mike Pence for doing his job then. But don't think for 1 second, Pence, that buys you any kind of grace with me. You're a coward. You're a liar. You're a bigot. You had multiple chances to end Donald Trump and his presidency and his reign of terror in this country. You chose to stand by him. And frankly, it wasn't because you were being loyal. It was all about power with you. It wasn't for the fact that you were trying to hold this country together. It was about ambition. Because if I remain loyal, in your mind, you say, if I remain loyal to Trump, maybe he'll endorse me to become president. But look at you now. MAGA Republicans want your head on a pike for not stealing the election for Donald Trump. You see, the fact is this, Pence. You're not going to become president ever in this country. And quite honestly, your political career is over. So I applaud you for doing your job then and standing up for the Constitution now. But you're never going to be president. And quite honestly, you might as well go home, fold up whatever political tints you've got, take whatever money you have, and disappear. Because you are always going to be branded as the man who let a madman run roughshod over this country. Who are trying to court people like that woman in Iowa who asked you that question, like those people who wanted to hang you on January 6th. You're trying to court them. That's pathetic. One last thing before I close out this video. The question has been brought up, how do we reach these people? How do we reach the MAGA? Is there a chance that we can reach them, if we can talk to them, if we can make them understand? The answer is no, we can't. And the very simple reason is this. Because these people are so... You can talk about hypnotism, you can talk about cult worship all you want, but the fact is Donald Trump is exactly who they are. Not because they're rich and famous, not because they slept with a whole lot of women, because they reflect the same hatred, the same prejudice that Donald Trump does. And he made it okay to be that. He made it okay to say, I hate this, that, and the other. And they don't want to give that kind of hate power up. They don't want to give that up. So that's the whole point. We can't reason with these people. And any attempt to try to reason with them is useless. They're going to vote for Donald Trump. The joke of it is, Donald Trump was absolutely right about one thing. That he could stand in front of Fifth Avenue in New York City, shoot someone, and his poll numbers would go up. I'm going to go even further. This man could sell top secret documents. Now, I'm not saying that he did this, mind you, but God help us if he did, considering the fact of how much documents that were found in his home in Mar-a-Lago. But this man could sell top secret documents about military intelligence, put God knows how many lives at risk. Lives of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, Space Guardians, active reserves, National Guardsmen, our intelligence officers, American citizens at risk. And these Donald Trump MAGAs will still applaud him, will still wear those red hats, will still desecrate the American flag by superimposing his face on them. They'll still support him, no matter what. It's people like that that will be the doom for this country. The 2024 presidential election, hell, all the elections from this day forward are instrumentally important in making sure that we remain a constitutional republic. Because what these people want, the MAGA, is one-man rule. The same one-man rule that we fought a revolutionary war to stop. 3 days ago, from the time of this video, we just celebrated Independence Day, the 4th of July, the birth of this nation. That celebration should not be in vain because of people like that woman in Iowa thinking that just because they want Donald Trump back, they can circumvent the Constitution. Don't let it happen again. CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.